I think there are bottlenecks in the European Union democratic project, but that these reflect a deeper paradox. At the most superficial level, Europe, of course, was the creation of nation states, and particularly the leading nation states of Europe. It's not a surprise that they then created a Europe in their own image, and that they embedded their power and interests at the heart of the European machinery. So the first project is that the first contradiction is that Europe is an incomplete project, because although Europe is sui generis, although the European Union is sui generis, as the product of nation states that have embedded their power in Europe, Europe is still, as it were, an amalgam of states that seek to engage with each other only up to a point. We see this in the nature of European armed force. European armed force, as it were, the last bastion of sovereignty. We have a British army, a French army, an Italian army, a Spanish army. But none of these militaries alone can be effective, and we know this. None of them can be effective if they operate in isolation of each other. So we have the legacy of Baroque states, the legacy of Baroque armies, which are ultimately still in competition with each other, reflecting sovereign interests in competition with each other. This is not yet, as it were, a European Union, or what I would call a cosmopolitan Europe. Now, what lies beneath this is something deeper. And I think this is, as it were, almost the paradox of our times. We find this paradox at the global level as well as the European level. And it's this: the European economy, as the global economy, are increasingly integrated. The economic and political structures we have are increasingly integrated. And yet, identity and the systems of political representation remain stubbornly rooted to territory, to place. So you have a European Union that's increasingly a European market, an integrated market space, with institutions that partially support that marketplace and social structures to some extent. But at the same time, the system of representation remains stubbornly located in Germany, France, Italy, Britain, and so on, and so does identity. Now, one of the reasons for this is that culture lags political change. Culture rarely is in advance of political change. But that creates a great problem. How do you bridge the gap between a project of Europe, a project of integration, and a culture where identity and representation remain stubbornly located in place?